Welcome to SAM Conversation, a program of South Asia Monitor. It is our pleasure to welcome Dr. Samudra Gupta Kashyap. Over 4 decades, he's been a Northeast correspondent from Assam who's informing the whole world about Assam. And presently, he's the Chancellor of Nagaland University, and before that, he was the State Information Commissioner for Assam. It has been my own pleasure to interact with him when I was in Guwahati in the mid-90s. We today are going to look at the events in Bangladesh and what kind of an effect they are having on Assam, on the Northeast in general, and Assam, where a lot has transpired. In 2005, when General S.K. Sinha, Lieutenant General S.K. Sinha was the governor of Assam, he had written a paper addressed to the President of India, informing him about the demographic shift which had begun, taking place in Assam because of the illegal entry of Bangladeshis, and that affected about, I think, 5 districts in 2005. By 2009, I published a book, Assam, Terrorism and the Demographic Challenge. This was in 2009, by which time I think about 11 to 12 districts had got affected. And thereafter, I think today, as things stand, about almost 15 districts are affected. This was, and what has come into the news very recently is that, again, about 2 or 3 occasions, the Bangladeshis have been apprehended trying to enter. The last, I think, a few days ago, it was 16. But the amount that came over all these years in the past, but that was because of a group called United Liberation Front of Assam, ULFA, who escaped to Bangladesh, and from there they, along with the Pakistan's ISI, which had a very strong presence in Bangladesh during the tenure of Bangladesh National Party, Bangladesh Nationalist Party under Begum Khalida Zia. It is then that the ISI in Dhaka in Bangladesh made an entry into the Northeast, and they got in touch with a number of these groups, Alpha, the NSCN, National Socialist Council of Nagaland, the Meitei groups, People's Liberation Army, United National Liberation Front. And you can say that it is thanks to the Pakistan ISI that these groups got converted from being classic insurgents to pure terrorists. ये एक एग्जैजरेशन नहीं है, ये जो क्लासिक इंसर्जेंट्स होते हैं उनका एक कॉज होता है, परसीव कॉज हो, कुछ भी हो, लेकिन वो उनका जितना उनकी लड़ाई होती है वो सिक्योरिटी फोर्सेस के साथ होती है, लेकिन जब एक इंसर्जेंट ग्रुप इनोसेंट्स को मारना शुरू कर दें तो वो फिर वो इंसर्जेंट नहीं रहते, वो टेररिस्ट माने जाते हैं, आतंकवादी माने जाते हैं. डॉक्टर समुद्रगुप्त कश्यप, इनका जैसे मैंने पहले कहा 40 साल से ज्यादा इनकी जर्नलिज्म में ये बहुत माहिर रहे हैं, वरिष्ठ पत्रकार रहे हैं, और भारत और भारत से बाहर भी असम के बारे में ये बहुत वाकफियत देते रहे हैं। उसके बाद ये असम स्टेट इंफॉर्मेशन कमिश्नर रहे, और आज अभी ये चांसलर हैं नागालैंड यूनिवर्सिटी के। डॉक्टर कश्यप, बहुत खुशी हुई आपसे फिर से मिलके। अभी
मुझे भी।
आप जितना हमने बताया वहां से आप शुरू कीजिए, जो कुछ आप हमको बता सकते हैं।
धन्यवाद, धन्यवाद, शुक्रिया। आज जिस दिन हम लोग मैं आपसे बात कर रहा हूँ इस समय, आज है 25 नवंबर 2025। आज से असम विधानसभा के विंटर सेशन शुरू हुआ है, और पहला दिन एक बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट डॉक्यूमेंट इसमें ले किया गया है आज असेंबली में। यह डॉक्यूमेंट है द तिवारी कमीशन रिपोर्ट ऑन द वायलेंस of in Assam in 1983. This is a very interesting document, which was inquiry commission report, which was done by Mr. Tribhuvan Prasad तिवारी, जो यूपी के उस समय के फॉर्मर चीफ सेक्रेटरी थे। तो क्या हुआ था कि 1983 में 1979 में 78-79 में असम का मंगलदोई लोकसभा कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंसी में उस समय के जो सांसद थे उनका देहांत हो गया था। तो इंटेंसिव रिवीजन, समरी रिवीजन हो रहा था उस समय फ्रेश बाई इलेक्शन के लिए। तो उस समय देखा गया कि बहुत सारा नया नाम वोटर्स लिस्ट में घुस गया था। ऑन वेरिफिकेशन इट वाज फाउंड दैट मेजॉरिटी ऑफ देम were not indigenous people. They did not belong there. Their parents were not enlisted on the voters list. They become first-time voters, but at quite early age, at quite a later age. Normally, a person becomes a voter at the age of 21 at that time. Now it's 18. But here, people of 40, 50 years of age, people of 35 years of age who had not voted, not enrolled earlier, have suddenly enrolled. A police inquiry ने दिखाया कि most of them do not belong to Assam. They had entered Assam from the neighboring country. And about 40,000 names in a Lok Sabha constituency was found to be of people who did not belong to Assam, did not belong to India. They were all Ghuspet here. They were all infiltrators. This triggered off an agitation in Assam. The All Assam Students Union, which is always a vigilant organization in Assam, social vigilant organization. So they took up the issue. It turned into an agitation in 1979. And from 79 onwards, Assam remained disturbed for quite a long time. And during that time in 1980, when Lok Sabha election was held in that country, it could not be held in Assam because of the faulty electoral rolls and because of the protests by the All Assam Students Union and by all other various other organizations of Assam. So after that, the term of the Assam Assembly, which was formed in 78, also came to an end. And because it was suspended and then dismissed, and the House was dissolved. But in 1981, in 82, the election could not be held, and the president's rule was imposed for 2-3 terms. Finally, there was no provision in the constitution to extend the president's rule, and the government of India decided that you should have election for Assam Assembly. Everybody opposed it, and in except for the Congress and the CPI at that time, all or even political parties opposed it. And in several constituencies, there was no nomination paper filed. The election was held, but it was announced, and there's an organization called Sado Assam Karmachari Parishad, the state Karmachari Parishad. They refused to take part in it, cooperate in it. The teachers refused to cooperate in it. The people refused to cooperate in it. And the All Assam Students Union, they made an appeal to the people that you're not going to cast votes. So people refrained from voting. They refrained from even conducting the election. Such was the situation that polling officers had to be brought into Assam from Bihar, Bengal, and so on. And almost all the probationers in Lal Bahadur Academy, the civil service probationers, were airlifted to Guwahati, Assam, and they were distributed to different constituencies to run the election. And the election was held, but in majority of the cases, people didn't go. Wherever the people wanted to go, there was resistance by the students' union, peaceful resistance. And during the 7 days, 4 days of election, 2 days each, one day in a gap of 4 or 5 days, the police, the CRPF, and the central forces deployed there, they were ordered that anybody trying to resist the election would be shot at. And about 300 young people, 300 to 400 young people are shot at, peaceful volunteers of the All Assam Students Union, between a period of 1 week or so, 1983. In some constituencies, there was no election was held. Nobody came out to vote. In some constituencies, 120 people voted, and there were two candidates. One got 100 votes, the other got 7 votes, and the election was held like that. So that was one scenario. Now, this is only one scenario of what had happened in the 1983 because of the infiltration. I'm talking about today's Tiwari Commission report. This commission report, which was completed in 1986, gives a detailed genesis of the problems created by the infiltrators to Assam over several decades. Now, when we say several decades, the whole story began in 1905. The background is very important. In 1905, the British under Lord Curzon had split Bengal into two parts with an object to weaken the national movement, Bengal. So Bengal was divided into Bengal and Eastern Bengal, Western Bengal and Eastern Bengal, and Assam was clubbed with Eastern Bengal, and it was called the province of Eastern Bengal and Assam. As that happened, Assam became a part of East Bengal from 1905. And in 1906, in Dhaka was born an organization called the Muslim League. Because it was one province, suddenly large number of people started migrating to the Brahmaputra Valley and the Barak Valley of Assam from Eastern Bengal. So much so that within a period of 20 years, I tell you, in 1905, this Assam was clubbed with Bengal. 1910 or 11, the order was revoked. Assam became a separate province again. But between 1905 and 1921, the population shift was such that in a district like Gwalpara, which shares border with then Pakistan, now Bangladesh, there's a 20% increase in the population of the migrants in 1921 itself. Today we are in 2025. In Nagaland, in central Assam, the population suddenly increased by 14%, and this 14% was entirely, the addition was entirely Muslim immigrants from East Bengal of that time. I'm talking about 1921. Today is 2025, more than 100 years ago. In 1931, in the census report of Assam, C.S. Mullan is a British man. It is British government at that time. He, in the superintendent of census or director of census at that time, he wrote that wherever there was wasteland in Assam, there flocked the Maimansinghas, that is the Bangladesh people of Maimansingh. And in 20 years, that is the census report of the British period says of 1931, that over 500,000 people had transplanted themselves from Eastern Bengal to Assam in 20 years. 500,000 people in 20 years arrived in Assam. Now, what was the immediate impact was that they occupied wasteland, so-called wasteland. Wasteland is basically wetlands and land belonging to the riversides. Grazings, Assam has a system of PGR and VGR, public grazings for the villagers and the village grazing for the near the villagers for the people to graze their cattle. Forest land which belong to the tribal people, community land, and all other and this occupation of land was, according to the Assam historian Bhar Pujari, who was the president of the Indian History Congress later, in 1980, he analyzing the scenario of that period said that this was an organized kind of a movement of people. In 1989, 1998, you referred to General Sinha's report. He also said the same thing, that this is an organized kind of thing. And in 2006, 2005-6, when the Supreme Court of India had struck down the notorious Illegal Migrants Determination by Tribunals Act of 1983, the Supreme Court of India said that this is a silent demographic invasion of India, and this is a threat to India's security and India's integrity. as a whole. So this is a huge threat which the Supreme Court of India had identified, and this is what Supreme Court says is the final. Is Supreme Court's orders become law. So that is what the Supreme Court has said. Now this is the background. Today
Um,
today will come. Yeah, sorry.
no,
Please.
thank you very much, Dr. Kashyap.
That's the backdrop.
But let's also please recall that, thank God, Assam remained part of India thanks to the efforts of
Yeah.
Gopinath
That's a very
Bordoloi.
interesting period you pointed out. Yeah, that I'll come to that.
Gopinath
Now,
Bordoloi. And
now this for the
other is that what is that it is not just the illegal immigration or illegal coming and settling. It is the they were allowed to
larger design.
vote. They were allowed to vote. The demographic shift which began, it is because we can understand if they were allowed to come because they needed to earn a living, earning a living only. But once you start dishing them out, identity cards or whatever kind of cards that they can vote. This is
So the
another kind
political
of
power goes away from the indigenous people, from the Indian people in Assam. Now, this
so
is again a very historic thing that I think our audience need to know, is that when India was preparing to get independence, Assam had to fight another war, another battle. That was uh, in 1940-46. Uh, the Muslim League, which was born in Dhaka in 1906, one of its major objectives is to create another country out of India, and that was Pakistan. And that Pakistan would be of two parts, Western Pakistan and Eastern Pakistan. And for the Muslim League, the Eastern Pakistan concept also included the whole of Northeast, if not the whole of Northeast India, at least the entire of Assam and Tripura. And that the resolution taken called the Lahore Resolution of 1945, which said the Larke Lenge Pakistan Resolution, if you remember. In that, Jinnah had declared that the dream of we have to also get a large portion of land in eastern part of India. Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, and then what happened now is that at that time, the British government at that time, at the instance of Jinnah, came up with a proposal that India, the subcontinent would be divided into three parts. Group A would be the mainland India. Group B would be what became West Pakistan, and Group C is in Eastern India. So Assam and West Bengal and Bengal, everything was clubbed in Group C. So that subsequently this Group C and Group B would become East and West Pakistan on both sides. The Assam leaders, Bharat Ratna Gopinath Bordoloi, they took up the issue. They went to Nehru. Nehru said, let us get independence first. After that, you will settle. Now, once you get independence, Assam goes into Pakistan. How can you bring it back? He went to Maulana Azad, who was the president of the Congress around that time, said nothing doing. He went to Vijay Lakshmi Pandit, nothing doing. So this was happening. They went to Gandhi and Patel. Gandhi and Patel supported Assam and supported Bordoloi, and Assam finally, and the grouping plan was scuttled at the last moment, thanks to some, what would I say, change of concept in the British government, and Assam remained a part of India. Otherwise, in 1947 itself, it would have been gone. Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, much later in the 1970s, he writes in his autobiography that the question of between India and Pakistan does not remain only over the question of Kashmir. We have to also keep a mind on Assam. The issue of Assam has to be also resolved. So they always have in mind Kashmir, Assam, Bengal. So that is the scenario. From there we have come so far, but in the last 100 years of migration, illegal migration or whatever you call it, demographic migration to Assam, almost every sphere of life has been affected. If we look at it, because of the occupation of wastelands, wetlands, forests, open lands, tribal lands, and riverbeds, the entire, what would I say, the ecology of Assam has changed. The climate scenario has changed, the flood scenario has changed, the riverbank scenario has changed, and the wetland scenario has changed. That is on the climate and ecological aspect. If you look at the demographic aspect, as you have pointed out, that earlier, when there were 16 districts in Assam, 5 districts were affected, or it had become there's a shift in the demography. The indigenous people had become a minority. Today, out of 33, 35 districts of Assam, 16 districts of Assam, the indigenous people are in a minority, and the majority are people whose roots are in erstwhile Eastern Bengal, erstwhile Eastern Pakistan, and present day Bangladesh. That is the demographic part. If you look at the law and order part, if you look at the crime rate, and if you look at the commitment of crime by the kind of people, you'll find that invariably most of these people, then if from the name itself, you can find out that these people are all of immigrant origin. And which are the places where the crimes take place? Generally in religious institutions, temples, monasteries. These are the places where a lot of thefts and burglaries take place. And the other kind of crime that is happening is that land grabbing. There's a very fantastic design of land grabbing. And a village at night, a party would come with guns and all, and they'd lift. First is cattle lifting, then young girls are being carried away, possibly married, or whatever you call it. And then this family falls into a kind of a situation, and they abandon the village and come out, and this village becomes occupied. There's another one that's happening. So many things are happening on the law and order, and the if you look at the identity, identity is finally language and culture and politics. The number of people, the percentage of people who speak the indigenous languages, Assamese, Bodo, Bengali, are gradually going down, and the number of people who speak the immigrant variety of Bengali, which is spoken in the neighboring country, is going up. If you look at the land pattern, you'll find that most of the government land, most of the are being occupied. If you look at the on the economy, the development, you'll find that the literacy of the people of the indigenous people of Assam would be, say, more than the national average. But the overall average of Assam is down because you have this entire extra load of people. If you look at the nutrition of children, you'll find the same thing. If you look at the dropout of school, you'll find the same thing. If you look at the child marriage, the same thing is happening. If you look at dropout in school, you'll find the same thing is happening. If you look at the number of children being born by an individual woman, you'll find that it's more on the other side. So these are so many things happening at a time across Assam.
They really, there was also a great problem about the what is the present situation now? Now, it is reported that Mr. Hemant Biswa Sharma has given a warning of 24 hours for these illegal entrants to leave. Is that correct?
No, what exactly is happening is that now, before that, you have to look at it. If you look at the impact on the resources of the immigration, you'll find that the population density per square kilometer in Assam is much higher than the national average. In 1951, it was below the national average. The density of population was much less. Today, if you look at in 2011, the All India average was 381 or 82 per square kilometers. In Assam, it was close to 400 per square kilometer. Today, it must have gone up because the population multiplication is very high. If you look at the per capita income, in 1951, the per capita income of Assam was much higher than the national average. Today, the national average is 1,72,000 something. In Assam, it is 1,11,000 or something. So that way it is happening. If you look at the land, government land, forests, land belonging to different other institutions of the government, as I said, grazing, village grazing reserves, and all other reserve forests, national parks, wildlife sanctuaries, river banks, which belong to the forest. Majority of those were illegally occupied by encroachers. Now, as a first step, it is very difficult in the present system. It is very difficult to catch people and throw them out to another country. We do not have such kind of an arrangement at the moment. And for the last 20, 30, 40 years, Assam has been struggling with that, how to get rid of these people. Because if you look at the electoral rolls, you'll find thousands of names. There's a prefix called D voter, doubtful voter in Assam, which continues to be there. Hundreds and thousands of names have been struck off the electoral rolls because they do not, they are not people belonging to this country. In the recent revision of the National Register of Citizens, about several lakh of people could not enroll themselves because they could not link themselves to the electoral rolls of 1961 or 1951, which I, as a local person, can do it, or even as a person coming from Rajasthan or Punjab or Kerala, he can trace it to his back home state for his father's or grandfather's name in the electoral rolls. A lot of people have not been able to do it. How do you handle them? Majority of them are sitting on government land, on reserve forests, on wildlife sanctuaries, on rivers, on wetlands, and so on. So what Dr. Himanta Biswa Sharma, the present chief minister, has found out that if we can reduce the space, where they have been occupying, or if we can remove them from the encroached government areas, then at least we uproot them, and then they get. And see, if you uproot, if I have some land somewhere, occupying a land somewhere, a government land, if I am thrown out from there, I'll come back to my original home. These people do not have an original home, so you identify those people, create a pressure on them that there is no space in Assam for you to settle down or occupy land or construct a house. So that is a strategy, I believe, that Dr. Himanta Biswa Sharma, the present Chief Minister of Assam, has adopted. That first time we uproot them, we remove all the encroachers from the government land, from the forest land, from the wetlands, from the rivers, from the wildlife sanctuaries. So if we remove them, if you are removed, you'll go back to your home state. If I am removed, I'll go back to my village. If these people are removed, they have no place to go. So you can at least easily identify that there is an extra population there. That is the strategy he has adopted at the moment. And you free the land, you remove.
I must thank you for bringing out some of these very important points, because now what is expected in the next, let's say, coming months, because here with that Yunus, whatever puppet government that is leading there, he's even laid a death sentence on Sheikh Hasina, which I'm sure in India, Bharat is not going to do anything about it. And wherever she is safe, she is expected to remain there, as far as India is concerned. But what is there anything further you'd like to add about the effect on the Northeast, or what should be done? Any more steps that should be taken?
See, in the last 20-25 years, when Madam Hasina was the Prime Minister in Bangladesh, in Dhaka, India had wonderful relations. In fact, I happened to be fortunate to write a book called India-Bangladesh 50 Years of Friendship for the Indian Council of World Affairs. And only immediately after that, things went haywire in that country. If you look at that period, several insurgent and groups of the Northeast, whether it's from Tripura, from Assam, from Meghalaya, from Mizoram, they had all had their hideouts and camps in Bangladesh.
And they were all kicked out from there.
All uprooted and handed over to our country. Same thing had happened with Bhutan too. And that is the biggest gesture that a government could do, a neighboring country can do. Number two, we had a lot of dispute over land in the boundary areas, in the boundary areas. Some enclaves are on their side, some enclaves are on our side. These enclaves have been all settled, and the land boundary agreement, which was signed by the previous Prime Minister, was finally implemented on ground by the present government, the NDA government. Okay, so these two things had happened. Number three, the border security force. In Assam, a lot of people from time to time have been arrested, and they have been confirmed by courts of law that they are infiltrators and they had entered India illegally. And these people had been pushed out, handed over to the BGB, that's the Bangladesh Border Guards of Bangladesh, by the BSA in a procedural manner. If you look at it, almost every month, 20, 30, 40 people are handed over in Dhubri, in Mankachar, or in Shribhumi district of Assam, which borders with Bangladesh. Now, this has been happening. If you look at the list, maybe probably 1,000 people have been sent back to their country from after being confirmed that they do not belong to India, they belong to that part of the country. That's A. B is the security threat that the presence of these people create in or have in have posed in Assam. If you look at the past 20, 30 years, several Bangladesh-based Islamic modules, terror modules, have been operating or extending their tentacles to Assam. We have the, if you remember, we had the Harkatul Mujahideen once upon a time. They one it was that group which had kidnapped foreigners from from Connaught Place in Delhi once upon a time. You remember that Kabul Kandahar episode? One of the persons who was part of that abduction in Connaught Place was from Assam. In 2000, the Prafulla Mahanta government, the AGP government, which is now an ally of the NDA, they had submitted a report in the Assam Assembly about the various Islamic terror groups operating in Assam, and about 29 people, of which 2 were confirmed ISI operatives who were arrested in the heart of Guwahati and other parts of Assam, and they were all sent to jail. Some of them were sent to jail. That's one part. Today you have the JMB modules have been busted in Assam. You have the Al Qaeda modules, that the AQIS modules. You have the AB team of the Ansarul Bangla team people. So these, because they have their own people here, it's very easy to motivate them. It's very easy to indoctrinate them, and then make them work for their aim.
Samudra, I'm afraid we'll have to be strapped for time now. But I must thank you for bringing out a lot of very important events, and right from independence onwards, and more so in the last few decades. Thank you very much, and all the best.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Col Anil Bhat. We've been discussing this issue after a long time with you. Thank you once again, South Asia Monitor, for organizing this discussion.